A woman walks into a gym. She doesn't work out. She just showers and leaves. 2 hours later, a camera catches her walking into the dark, alone, on foot. That is the last confirmed image of her alive. 6 days later, she is found in the woods, half a mile away. No bruises, no cuts, no sign of a struggle. Nothing on her body to explain how a 39-year-old woman ended up dead in the trees. 11 days before that night, she told her best friend 4 words, "I'm scared for my life." This is the case of Elena Moore. And right now, in a lab in Charleston, South Carolina, scientists are trying to answer a question that an autopsy table alone could not. What actually happened to her heart? Stay with me, because the details in this case don't add up the way you'd expect. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why investigators sent her body over 100 miles away for answers. If you follow cases like this, ones built on timelines, forensic science, and documented facts rather than guesswork, subscribe to Untold Crime Diaries and turn on notifications, because we're going to be tracking this one until it's resolved. Before we get into the timeline, it matters who Elena Moore actually was. She was 39 years old, living in Lexington, South Carolina. She worked as a personal trainer at Wolf's Fitness Center, a pharmacy technician at CVS, and picked up bartending shifts at local bars. 3 jobs. People who knew her described someone energetic, reliable, the kind of person who showed up for her clients, for her friends, for her life. She had been in a relationship with her husband, Brandon Slice, since around 2013. They married in February 2024. According to friends who've spoken publicly, and we'll come back to exactly what they said and how much weight that carries, Elena had, at different points over the years, talked about wanting to leave the relationship. That's documented as far back as a 2017 Facebook message shared with Fox News Digital. None of that, on its own, tells us anything about how she died. But it's part of the full picture investigators are working with, so it's worth having in front of you before we get to June. Here's what's confirmed, sourced from police statements and reported timelines. On the morning of June 11, 2026, Elena was released from Three Rivers Behavioral Health, a treatment facility in West Columbia. The facility arranged a cab for her. That cab stopped at a CVS in Lexington at her request. According to the reported timeline, the driver went inside looking for her, and she was already gone. What happened between that CVS stop and her next confirmed appearance is not publicly documented. There's a gap of several hours. At around 6:38 that evening, Elena checked into Planet Fitness on Whiteford Way, a gym she regularly used. Here's the detail that stands out. She didn't work out. She signed in, showered, and left. Whether that was simply a woman using a familiar routine to steady herself after a hard week, or something else entirely, we don't know. It's just what the record shows. She left the gym and walked through the nearby commercial area, past the Lowe's where her car was parked, a car she didn't get into. At 9:17 p.m., a public parking lot surveillance camera caught her one final time, wearing an olive green zip-up hoodie and black athletic pants, walking in the direction of Old Cherokee Road. After that, nothing. No more cameras. No more confirmed sightings. Elena was reported missing the next morning, June 12th, by her husband. On June 15th, a multi-agency search was conducted. Lexington Police, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, known as SLED, and the Department of Natural Resources, using thermal drones and cadaver dogs in the wooded area near the gym. According to police statements, nothing was found. On June 16th, a community member called authorities saying they had seen Elena walking into woods near Lakeside Middle School on the night she disappeared. That single tip redirected the search. On June 17th, at 2:48 p.m., her body was found in that area, 6 days after she was last seen alive. Here's where the case shifts from a missing person story into something the state is treating with unusual seriousness. Normally, a death in Lexington County is examined by the local county coroner. That's standard procedure for the vast majority of deaths, accidents, overdoses, natural causes. But Elena's body was transported more than 100 miles to the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston, one of the top forensic pathology facilities in the region. That decision was made by SLED, the same state agency that handles officer-involved shootings and major criminal investigations. That's not a random choice. It signals that investigators felt this case required more specialized forensic capability than a routine autopsy would provide. On June 20th, the autopsy was conducted. On June 22nd, Lexington County Coroner Margaret Pfizer released preliminary findings. No external trauma. No bruising. No lacerations. No signs of blunt force or strangulation visible on the body's surface. That finding didn't close anything. It opened 3 separate lines of forensic investigation that are still running as of this video. First, toxicology. Blood, urine where available, and vitreous fluid from the eye are being tested for anything in Elena's system, medications, substances, anything at all. Vitreous fluid matters specifically here because Elena's body was outdoors for 6 days in South Carolina heat, and that fluid resists degradation better than blood or tissue. Second, histology. Thin sections of her heart, liver, kidney, and lung tissue are being examined under a microscope. This isn't about what was in her body, it's about what her cells show happened to them in the time before she died. Third, a full medical records review, establishing what her documented health history actually was, including her known heart condition, so that whatever the tissue shows can be properly interpreted in context. The realistic timeline for all of this is 6 to 10 weeks from the autopsy date, meaning results are expected sometime between early August and September 2026. Elena's closest friend, Sandra Campbell, has said publicly that Elena had a pre-existing heart condition, something serious enough that Campbell said Elena took a job at CVS partly to get health insurance because of it. This matters because of a real, documented medical phenomenon, stress-induced cardiomyopathy, sometimes called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy or broken heart syndrome. In simple terms, a massive surge of stress hormones can, in some cases, overwhelm the heart to the point of failure. In a structurally healthy heart, this is often survivable. In a heart that already has an existing vulnerability, it can be fatal. And, critically, it leaves no external marks. It would not show up in a basic table examination. It would only show up under a microscope in the form of specific cellular damage called contraction band necrosis. That's exactly the kind of finding the histology tests currently underway at MUSC are designed to detect. To be clear, this is a medical possibility that fits the facts we know. It is not a confirmed cause of death. No result has come back yet. This is the part of the case that's kept it in the headlines, and it's important to be precise about what this is. Friends' personal accounts and opinions, not forensic findings. Campbell has said, across multiple interviews, that she disputes the idea that Elena was going through a mental health crisis in any conventional sense. She's described Elena as someone who loved her life. But she's also said that at a brunch on May 31st, 11 days before Elena disappeared, Elena told her she was scared for my life and appeared visibly on edge, repeatedly checking the window and door. Another friend, Lauren Beasley, has described a pattern over the years of Elena talking about wanting to leave the relationship and then staying. Other friends have pointed to doorbell camera footage from around June 4th, showing Elena appearing confused and disoriented at a neighbor's home, behavior her friends say didn't match the woman they knew. These are real, on-the-record accounts from people who knew Elena closely. They're also, by definition, one perspective, filtered through grief, love, and their own interpretation of what they witnessed. They are part of the record. They are not proof of what caused her death. This is the part of the story that requires the most care, so let's be exact. Brandon Slice is Elena's husband. He reported her missing himself the morning after she disappeared. Before her body was found, he wrote in a since-deleted social media comment that Elena was not well. That detail has been reported by multiple outlets. He hasn't made extensive public statements since her body was identified. A private investigator working with his family has spoken on his behalf, describing him as devastated. Here is what is officially unambiguously true. Brandon Slice has not been named a suspect or a person of interest by law enforcement. He has not been charged with anything. No arrest has been made. Under the law, he is presumed innocent, the same as anyone who has not been convicted of a crime. And that's not a disclaimer we're adding for legal cover. It's simply the accurate status of this investigation right now. Public silence or a deleted post can mean a lot of different things: grief, legal advice, simple privacy. None of it is evidence of guilt, and it's important not to treat it as if it were. When the toxicology and histology results come back, Coroner Pfizer will issue a final determination on cause and manner of death. Broadly, that classification will fall into one of a few categories: natural causes, an accident, a homicide, or, if the evidence remains ambiguous, undetermined. Each path leads somewhere different. A natural death finding, tied to her known heart condition, would likely close the active investigation, though it wouldn't erase the questions her friends have raised. A homicide or accidental finding would open the case into a much deeper investigative phase: phone records, digital forensics, financial records, and a full reconstruction of her final hours. An undetermined finding means SLED keeps the case open and continues building the file, however long that takes. Whatever the science shows, it will be the most solid answer this case has produced so far, because right now, everything else is memory, timeline, and testimony. The forensic results are the one part of this story that isn't shaped by grief, bias, or how anyone wants the story to end. Elena Moore was 39 years old. She trained clients, filled prescriptions, poured drinks behind 3 different bars, and by every account, showed up for the people in her life. 11 days before she died, she told her closest friend she was afraid. 6 days after she disappeared, she was found in the woods with no mark on her body to explain why. The lab work is still running. The results aren't in yet. And when they are, we'll cover exactly what they say. No speculation, just what the evidence actually shows. If you want to be here when that happens, subscribe and let us know in the comments. What do you think the toxicology results are going to reveal?